Okay, I'll go ahead and mark him absent. Committee member Schmidt,
Here.
committee member Ostervar let us know he would be absent, and committee member Tregenza.
Here.
And I'll go ahead and announce the staff members present. Principal Planner Roveri, Associate Planner Buggert, and myself, Recording Secretary Barrera.
Great. Looks like we have a quorum. So let's open the consent agenda. It looks like we only have the notes from the last meeting. Does anyone have any comments that are on the consent agenda? Seeing not. Erica, could you make the announcement that you do so well on letting people know how to get in touch?
Absolutely. Members of the public are encouraged to join our meetings via Zoom Gov, a secure service that connects you live with no lag time. This meeting is also streamed live on youtube.com/City of Monterey and Comcast Channel 25. If you would like to provide public comment, please join the meeting using Zoom or by telephone, making sure to join in time to accommodate delays. To join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. Since this meeting has started, you'll find the agenda under the Recent tab. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864, then enter the webinar ID. Today's webinar ID is 161-914-9563. If prompted for a participant ID, press pound. Detailed instructions for using Zoom are available at monterey.org/public meetings. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name typed into Zoom. Public commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak. Please turn off TV or computer speakers or go to another room while connected, as background noise interferes with the broadcast. Public speakers will be called upon in order of hands raised. There is a 3-minute time limit for today's meeting, so please stay within that limit.
I don't see anybody. Erica, do you see any members
I
of the
see 2
public?
attendees. I don't see either hand raised.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the 29 April 2022 minutes?
Hey, I move that we approve the minutes from April 20th, 2022 on the consent agenda.
Do we have
Second that.
and thank you. So that's a motion made by Ed and seconded by Patrick. Any further discussion? None. Erica, could you do a roll call?
Sure. Chair Bluth,
Here, yes.
Vice Chair Hunter,
Aye.
Committee Member Carter,
Aye.
Committee Member Polly is absent, Committee Member Schmidt,
Aye.
and Committee Member Tregenza.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved as submitted with a vote of 5.
Thank you. We can move on to comments or issues that are not on the agenda. Does anybody have a comment? Okay, seeing none, I think we can move on. Let's go to the first public appearance item, which is consider 1401 Monros Avenue, sign permit application S1-22-0039 for 6 pedestrian-oriented freestanding signs added to a fuel dispenser. Applicant Soren Enchi. Does staff have a presentation?
Yes, we do.
Great, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Buggert. I'm going to get this screen shared. Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Buggert. I'm an associate planner with the City of Monterey's Planning Division. Today, we are presenting sign permit SI 2239 at 1401 Monros Avenue. The recommendation to the ARC is to adopt the resolution to approve the sign permit. This particular site is located at the corner of Monros Ave and Soledad Drive in the southern portion of the city. The general plan designation is commercial, and the zoning for this parcel is VAF, which is Visitor Accommodation Facility. What's located on the site is 6 gas station pumps and a convenience store storage building. There are currently approved signs at the site. They include logo and gas prices, a logo and food mart sign showing to both corners of the property. Both of these are vehicle-oriented signs. And there are also pedestrian-oriented signs. The 76 is part of the pumps themselves. These were previously approved in, I believe, 2014 or so. The proposal is to add sign area to the pump toppers themselves. They would be 2.5 square feet each. There would be 6 of them, matching the 6 pumps that are there, for an increase of 15 square feet total. They would be vinyl signs with industrial adhesive attachment to the tops of the pumps. That is the entirety of the proposal. The next slide will give the street view, some context of the gas station itself. You can see the pumps there. And the new signs would go into that little window above the pumps themselves. To approve the project, there are findings that ARC must make, that the proposal achieves the purposes and objectives of the sign ordinance. The signs would further serve to support the existing business that's on site. The sign would need to be consistent with guidelines, or ARC determines that the proposal better achieves the purpose and objectives than strict application of the guidelines. The signs that are on site are currently not entirely in compliance with the sign guidelines because it's a gas station. For instance, having 2 vehicle-oriented signs is not usually allowed on a property. This one does. It's on a corner. They were previously approved. The pedestrian signs themselves, it's the closest definition that we have for the types of signs that are being approved. And since the previously approved square footage was for pedestrian-oriented signs on those pump toppers, this proposal partially increases that size by a little bit. The proposal is consistent with the general plan. Again, it serves to support the commercial business that's on site. And it's allowed with approval through ARC. The ultimate recommendation from staff is to adopt the resolution that would approve the sign permit. With that, that concludes staff's presentation. I believe the applicant is also on the line as well. He's available for any questions that may come up. I'm not sure if he wants to speak, but yeah.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Mike?
I do. What is the purpose? What kind of information would be on these new signs?
The city does not have, we're able to talk about the materials, whether it's lit or not, the size of the signs, but in terms of the content, that is not something we are allowed to direct. As proposed, there are 76 emblems on them, but perhaps the applicant can speak to it more.
I would like the applicant to address that. I'm kind of confused as to what the purpose of it is. There's already 76 on the actual pumps itself, so I'm kind of just wondering what the purpose of the new signage is for.
Okay, well, does applicant have a presentation or would like to make a comment?
I see the applicant is on the line. I can go ahead and allow them to talk.
If you would,
Soren,
please.
Sure.
I've asked Soren to unmute. believe they're unmuted now. Soren, are you on the line? They're unmuted.
We can't hear you, Soren.
There's also a caller on the line, but they are.
In the meantime, I have one question for Mike really quick. This isn't a video screen, right? It's just a sign.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
And I'm so sorry. My name is Matthew. I noticed it.
Sorry, I didn't see your name up here. It just says Monterey Planning. So thanks, Matthew.
I know I'm on the newer end.
Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
We
Hello,
hear you.
Soren. Would you like to?
Hey, can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. How you guys doing?
Very good.
Yeah, I had to do like multiple escapes out of the phone conversation and the video. Anyways, to address Shelley's comments, the only thing that those things are for are to give information about the type of fuel that's been putting in your pumps. So it gives detailed information. I don't know if you've seen Chevron with Techron and Mobile Synergy, and it gives all the details of what is inside the fuel that you put in. It's not for Red Bull advertisement. If you guys, it's in for a purpose, so people will be a little more educated on what is going into their tanks.
Thank you, Soren.
No problem.
Any other questions for Matt or Soren? Erica, would you like to also let the public know again how to get in touch with us?
Sure thing. Once again, to join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at iSearchMonterey.org. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864, then enter the webinar ID. Today's webinar ID is 161-914-9563. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name typed into Zoom. And I don't see any other attendees besides the applicant.
Either do I. So maybe we can move on to committee comments. Does anybody have any comments to make on the signs?
I know that out there are several signs for the hotel, the Red Lion. And I'm just, I feel like it's getting crowded. So with these and with the signs on the pumps and the signs for the hotel and signs on the street, and it's a lot. So not saying that these need to be denied, but it's just getting to be a lot of signage on that corner for many things.
I think there's also signs for the restaurant there too. And they used to be combined, I think. Are any of the current signs that are linking the gas station sign and the hotel or the restaurant going to change?
The signs that are there are under a different approval for the property for the hotel.
Mhm.
There are, I think, 3 vehicle-oriented signs there, some of which are on the hotel property, and then one that's in the front, the corner that faces out, and at the very bottom, it's got the restaurant that you're referring to, and then the hotel on top of it. Yes, and I'm not. Since it was approved under a separate permission, it was not included as part of this presentation for this business on this property. However, that is a good point, and in terms of a cumulative, the signs that are there.
Yeah, I'd like to add, just from what I remember, the 76 gas station signs and food marts, they're one, entity, but the hotel and the restaurant are separate, and they're actually located on a separate parcel.
Mhm.
So I don't know if Matthew, you want to bring up the site map, but it's a little confusing because the gas station is at the corner, but the hotel and restaurant are behind it, and they don't have frontage at the corner,
Mhm.
if you understand what I'm saying.
I think so.
Yeah, so that's the gas station, but the hotel is behind.
Mhm.
Correct. So the signs that were being referred to are, at least for the hotel, there are two over here. There's one that's in the property line. There's one in the right of way. They had to get an encroachment permit for that. There's one over here that is like kind of on the border of it, but either way, it's in the city right of way as well. And then there's one here that's actually, I think it's like crossing the property line or something like that at the corner, for the hotel and restaurant. Yeah, that's because the hotel's further back. So they got signs at their corners on either end, and then they wanted one at the front, which went through ARC a few years ago. I don't have the
I
date.
think I remember it. Yeah.
So yeah, when it comes to the gas station itself, there's the food mart sign, and then the prices sign.
Mhm.
And then previously, when the signs were approved for the 76 on the gas stations, they were considered pedestrian oriented because it was the closest we had from the sign guidelines.
Mhm. Great, thanks. So should we move to a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve. Sign permit application SI 22-0039 for 6 pedestrian-oriented freestanding signs added to fuel dispensers as presented.
I'll second it.
Thank you. So that was a motion by Zoe and then seconded by Ed. Erica, could you please do a roll call?
Certainly. Chair Bluth,
Aye.
Vice Chair Hunter,
Aye.
Committee Member Carter,
Yes.
Committee Member Schmidt,
Aye.
Committee Member Tregenza.
Aye.
Okay, this motion carries with a vote of 5. The decision is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 days. We have applications online or at the planning office.
Thank you. So it looks like next we have Fernanda has a presentation regarding real estate signs.
Thank you, Chair. I didn't prepare a PowerPoint slide because it just isn't that much information. And I just wanted to share what the current city regulations are regarding real estate signs. Basically, real estate signs are defined as a sign indicating that the property on which the sign is located is for sale, rent, or lease, and providing relevant contact information. And so, like it was mentioned at the previous ARC meeting, these signs are like those for rent signs by property management companies that you see facing the street, advertising for units for rent. But they are also, under this definition, these are also the signs that advertise properties for sale. And then the sign ordinance exempts these signs from a sign permit requirement if there's only one sign per street frontage and the maximum area of the sign is 16 square feet. And so if you think about that 16 square feet, it could be 4 by 4. So it could be a pretty substantial sign. And just driving around town, I would say that most of them do fit within that maximum sign area. The question, I guess, is the condition that only one sign is allowed per street frontage. We don't have a definition of street frontage in the sign ordinance. We have a definition of building frontage and lot frontage. So I guess it's a little bit up for interpretation what street frontage means. But if from a staff's perspective, I would say that the lot frontage definition applies more closely. And that definition is the horizontal distance along a lot line adjacent to a public street. So if we follow that logic, then only one real estate sign could be allowed on a lot frontage. So basically one sign per lot.
Unless it's on a corner, right?
Well, yeah, I guess that's up for interpretation. So if we can say that a corner lot has 2 street frontages, then that would mean that you could have 2 real estate signs. But if we only allow 1 sign per lot, that means they can only have 1 on a corner lot. So that's, I guess, for interpretation. And so the reason that we have these conditions is that we are allowed as a city to regulate the time, place, and manner that signs are displayed, but we cannot regulate the content in the sign. So these conditions regulate the number and size. But again, we cannot regulate what they say.
Fernetta, what is the time period stated? Is it just if it's for rent, it can be up, and once it's rented, it has to come down, or is it 2 months or 3 months or 6 months, or what? Is there anything like that in the sign?
There is no time period. It's not in the definition. There is usually, some definitions have a time period of how long the sign can be up, but it's not there, and it's not a condition. So as of now, just reading the sign ordinance, there is no time limit for real estate signs, so they could be up permanently. So I just wanted to just let you know what our regulations are regarding these signs, and we can have a discussion, open discussion, and we have to also allow public comment.
I may have missed it, but there's something about the difference between residential real estate signs and commercial real estate signs? Because the commercial real estate signs tend to be bigger than the ones that are just like hanging on the, I guess the.
Is your microphone open, Anna?
Yes. Okay. The sign ordinance does not differentiate between residential and commercial real estate signs. It's just one definition, just a real estate sign definition.
Because I know like the sign at the corner of where the new building is across the street from Santa Cruz County Bank, that sign is quite a bit larger than like just a regular for sale house sign. So I don't know if this is going down a rabbit hole, but I've definitely noticed different sizes for sure.
Yeah, the question, if the requirement is 14 or 16 square feet, does it exceed that or not would be the question.
Right. So if, like, for example, that sign that you noticed, Zoe, exceeds the 16 square feet, that could be reported to us, and that we would follow up with we would notify our code compliance coordinator, and he would follow up with the property owner to bring that sign into compliance.
But there's no one doing compliance on these right now. They just are dependent on public reporting them.
Yes, we depend on someone reporting it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Fernanda. It was a good presentation. I think the original reason why I brought the issue up at the last meeting was I'm starting to see a proliferation of these signs. It's a good way for the real estate offices to advertise they're out there. And so I continue to see more and more of them. And it's not like when you would have a house for sale, it'd be on the market for a few months. These are, up permanently. And I see a couple of them in a row. On Larkin Street, you can see 3 signs, in a row just going down the street. So, I think the question was, given, that we have all these ordinance regarding signs, it seems that this one may need additional attention, in that if we're trying to limit signage in the city and we're seeing a area where sign utilization is on a growth spurt, it might be worth bringing to the attention whoever would be looking at changing their ordinances, that at least ARC has noticed the change and maybe needs to see if it's worth bringing up to the public and to the planning commission or city council worth changing it. Because I worry that it's going to be an arms race. There's going to be more and more of the signs going, and eventually we're going to see lots of signs in Old Town for real estate rental. And it does, I think, impact the aesthetics of the neighborhood.
So yeah, like I said, we can regulate the time, place, and manner that signs are displayed. So the last time that our sign ordinance was updated was in 2016. So we have done it before. An update to the real estate signs conditions would be a work program for a new work program item for our planning office. So it would need approval every time that we add a work item to our work program. It would require approval, but you can definitely suggest it, and then it would get placed on a list of things that the planning office needs to work on.
Any other thoughts from the rest of the committee?
This is Patrick. I don't have necessarily a problem with what we have in place now. I think that vacant storefronts are kind of a blight on a city, and I think getting them rented and leased as soon as possible should be a priority. As far as residential goes, the same thing. I mean, there's usually the one sign out front with a couple of brochures, and it might say sale pending or in escrow. And then when it sells, it comes down. So I know what you're saying, because I see like the Mahoney sign everywhere, and that, I think that's just it's a fact that maybe the economy the way it is with COVID or whatever, and commercial space and people working from home, that there's more commercial space available and we see the signs more. But I think it's important to get those places filled, and that sign on the window is what's going to help fill it. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think the signs I'm thinking about are the traditional real estate signs that would come up when a building would be for sale. But in this case, it's the real estate company that puts up a sign, or not a rental company that's managing the property, that puts it up just to notify the public that they're the management firm that is working that property. And so it's like a real estate sign in the neighborhoods. It has nothing to do with commercial property. It's just at a residential level. And it's just showing that that home is being managed by such and such a real estate company. I think I've seen maybe 4 or 5 different companies that are presented. But if you drive on Larkin or Monroe, you'll see maybe like 3 or 4 of them. And my worry is that I just see more and more of them. It seems like it's a growing trend. So I think I might be thinking something a little bit different than what you were describing.
Yeah, you are for sure. I misunderstood. I haven't noticed that actually, but that's a good point. So yeah, you were saying is like this property is managed by so-and-so, you know, Acme property manager, and that's a permanent sign you're saying on the house?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that on a couple of commercial buildings where it says, you know, this is a, you know, like a Acme property manager, this is a so-and-so building, or, you know, AG Dobby building. And yeah, I mean, those are usually small and tasteful, but I haven't seen what you're referring to is basically a rental property that has a permanent sign on it listing the property manager. I'd like to, like, I'll have to go up and down Larkin and check that out. Because that shouldn't be that. That's not just a for sale sign. That's a permanent sign, and that shouldn't be allowed.
Right. I think that's
What you're talking about.
saying is that those signs are just covered by a general real estate sign ordinance. So there's no differentiation in terms of the purpose of the sign, in terms of how it's being utilized as a in that signage format.
So if the sign just says the name of the property management company and it doesn't say for sale or for rent, then we might be able to have code compliance take a look at it, because in order to meet the definition of real estate sign, the property needs to be for sale or rent.
I think they stick a little thing on the top of the sign where there's a slot in it when there's a unit for rent. But the rest of the time, the sign just stays up permanently. I could take some pictures and email them to you so you could do a public posting for that. But I think if Patrick goes on either Monroe or Larkin, when you're riding your bike, you'll see at least 3 or 4 of them on each street.
I think there's some on Casanova as well.
Mhm.
There's
Better.
some in New Monterey too.
Can we make sure that there's no one from the public, or
Mm.
just, can you just remind them how to join?
Sure. Once again, to join the meeting via Zoom from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864, then enter the webinar ID. Today's webinar ID is 161-914-9563. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name typed into Zoom. I don't see any attendees via Zoom.
Okay, well, thank you. That was a good discussion. Are there any other reports to provide?
No other updates from the planning office, no.
Great, well, thanks. Let's end this meeting at 4:36. Thank you all. Thanks, Fernanda.
Hey guys, just so you know, with people from Zoom, there's an awkward echo that comes through.